Defense, awesome again. So that's 6 straight quarters where the defense is not allowed a touchdown. Now you got to be careful because some places, Georgia, had a streak like that and then gave up 30 points and a half. People are saying that Kirby Smart isn't any good without Dan Lanning. If you take that comment as serious, I can't help you. I really can't. But I made that joke earlier on Twitter. I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't know if you all saw it. So Oregon's defense played exceptionally well is the fundamental point we have to make here. No touchdowns allowed. I was hoping going into this game that Oregon's defense would play exactly like this. Ethan Garbers, 12 of 20, 118, 2 picks, left with an injury. I'm not glad he got injured. I'm glad why he got injured. And that's that Oregon's defensive line and linebackers as a whole, great to have Jeffrey Bassa back, were dominant. They controlled the game. Bruins, 2 yards a carry. Now that factors in sack yardage, but if you take out the sack yards, it's 19 carries for 65 yards. That's just over 3 yards a carry. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. So, defensive line shuts down the run. 2 picks. Shout out to Evan Stewart and Tysheen Johnson for flipping the momentum in the game a little bit. Again, I wasn't worried about Oregon, but was I like, kind of need a little bit of juice over there. I gave him a little bit of juice in the second half. This is the 3rd straight game that a quarterback against this Oregon defense has put up ugly numbers. Ugly numbers. Because remember, Maddox Madsen, Boise State, under 50% completion. And Giovanni McCoy, Oregon State, wasn't particularly effective in the passing game. This secondary is better than last year. Returners have improved. Newcomers are making an impact. That much is abundantly clear. So I love the way this defense played. A couple years ago, if you recall, there was a historically bad season rushing the passer. I don't think we're ever going to see that again as long as Dan Lanning and Tosh Lupoy are in charge because the defensive line looks really good. One of the penalties that Oregon had in the second half, the illegal hands to the face on Jamari Caldwell, he's dog-walking the guy back into the quarterback and he hits Garber's arm and knocks him out of the game. Again, I'm not happy Ethan Garbers got hurt. I hope he's okay. He made some really nice throws in this football game, and his receivers didn't always help him out. But the defensive line was pushing that front 5 around for the Bruins, and that's exactly what they were supposed to do. And I thought that was great. 4 sacks plus 3 other tackles for loss. I wish that the NCAA would separate these stats. The whole point of calling something a tackle for loss instead of a sack is to indicate a tackle made behind the line of scrimmage, not on the quarterback in a passing situation. And yet, if you have 4 sacks and 3 TFLs, you get credit as a team for 7 TFLs. It makes no sense. I don't understand. But Jordan Burch had a sack, Mateo had a sack, Jeff Bassa had a sack, and then half a sack each for DJ Harmon and Justin Jacobs. Amari Washington had a TFL, by the way. It looked exactly like one of his high school highlight plays. There's something intensely satisfying to me when, I talk about recruiting a lot on the show, particularly over the summer, because that's what's newsy for Oregon football at that time. When a guy gets recruited, you see his potential, and then it plays out on the field. Like Tyler Turner has made some nice plays this year, did so late in the game when UCLA had to put their backup quarterback in. But Amari Washington just exploded through the offensive line, made a tackle on the backfield. I watched it, and my first thought was, that's exactly how it looked on his high school tape. And he appears to be the top guy from that 2023 blue chip interior defensive line group of guys that, I wondered all offseason, like, how's that rotation going to go? Is Aiden Breland going to play as a true freshman? No, the answer appears to be not. I tell you who has worked himself into the rotation in pass rushing situations. Thought this might be Elijah Rushing as a true freshman or more Blake Purchase, but Jaden Moore, one of the surprising moves up the depth chart. He's been in the last 2 weeks, and I didn't check his snap count against Boise State, but I've noticed him against UCLA and Oregon State when they think it's going to be a pass, and I love what this defensive line allows Tosh Lupoy and Dan Lanning and Chris Hampton to do defensively with mixing up their personnel and having pass rush specific packages. Jaden Moore has sprung his way up the depth chart. Good for him. Looks good. Had a quarterback pressure on a screen pass that forced a punt. So I love the way the defense played in this game. Again, the offense wasn't bad. Tez had a big day, shocker. Thought this might be an Evan Stewart day. I was wrong. He only had 3 catches for 9 yards, and yet you still got plenty of production out of the passing game. Gabriel, 31 of 41, 280, 3 touchdowns. Not the most explosive day, but there were a couple big plays, like the long touchdown to Tez Johnson, and then the last touchdown that Oregon scored. That was a zippy, and I mean zippy throw from Dylan Gabriel to Tez Johnson, who had 11 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. The Oregon offense, once again, lots of weapons all over the place. Justice Lowe, 2 catches for 7 yards. Love seeing that. But the tight end stepped up in the absence of Terrence Ferguson. I'll talk about that later. But the defense just continues to improve. By the way, if I asked you off the top of your head right now, be honest, can you tell me who led Oregon in tackles in this game? I would have gotten this wrong. I would not have been correct. The answer for today's game is, drumroll please, Nico Reed. And I was singing Nico Reed's praises all week long. You know why? Guy is playing the best football of his career. 6 tackles today to lead the way. Very dispersed tackle chart for Oregon. Betcher only had 3 tackles. And did you know he plays baseball? I saw I think it was Zach Neal of the Believe in Oregon podcast that said Bryce Betcher plays baseball. Is this year's Bo and Tez are related? Factually accurate at this point. Get used to hearing it as Oregon plays nationally televised games this year, which is, in some capacity every single week. So I love the way that this defense played. They looked physical. They disrupted passes. They had a couple of interceptions. I would have been really disappointed if Oregon had not turned over the Bruins at all in this game. But you look up and Ethan Garbers has got 2 picks. And again, I'll read you his stat line. 12 of 20 for 118. No touchdowns, 2 picks. Defense allows 6 points in the football game. Great. I know that UCLA stinks. But that's how we wanted the defense to play going into this game. So I'm really, really happy with where this defense is at. First half against Oregon State was not great. Boise State game was not great. But the last 6 quarters of football, that's what this Oregon defense looks like. I think it's pretty clear Jeff Bassa being out there makes an impact. He had a sack and he had a pass breakup as well at coverage on J. Michael Sturdivant. Chef's kiss from Oregon's starting linebacker there. But I think he clearly makes an impact. And when he's just on the field, he makes plays. But I talked about the cerebral quality that he has. He's quarterback of the defense. They look really good. So shout out to Dan Lanning, shout out to Tosh Lupoy and Chris Hampton. I thought they did a really, really good job. They knew what UCLA was going to do. They were ready for it. They got pressure. They were disruptive, and they got off the field as well. UCLA on 3rd down in this game was, drum roll please, I'm not going to give you another drum roll physically. Wait for it. Man, how does 1 for 10 sound? 1 for 10. Take that every day of the week and twice on Saturdays.